Happy Thursday, everybody. Another night of racing here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and it's going to be the first of 5 consecutive race nights because we're going to add Sundays into the equation, and this is going to be our last Thursday for the time being as we do introduce Sunday racing. And as Chad mentioned at the top, looks like a pretty good card. So I'm looking forward to it, and let's see how what kind of an impact racing on Sunday night has. It's just something that Woodbine's electing to try, and don't think trying something new is all that bad whatsoever, but it's going to take some getting used to because I know Sunday was a family day. I know I spent my days watching football. It just means I need to get a little bit better at multitasking. Speaking of multitasking, my co-host, the Hall of Famer, Randy Waples, I hear you've got a PhD in multitasking.
Yeah, how come little guys like you and I love big guy sports like football so much?
It's a strategy.
Is that what it is?
Strategy.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Did you play football?
You see the size of me? No
Oh,
shot.
me
I'm
neither. We
playing
didn't even have a
football.
football team in my high school.
No, we didn't have one in our high school either, but
I
rugby,
I was good at cross country. I could run.
you could run.
Got
eh?
a mouth like me. You could
Run away from the principal's
That's
office?
right, everything.
Yep, I wasn't that fast. I dabbled in some basketball when I was a kid. I wasn't very tall, but I loved that. But no, for me, football, it's everybody's got to work in unison, and I kind of love that, right? I mean, you need the offensive line. If one guy misses a tackle, the play busts. You need receivers to run the right routes, and as you start getting older and start understanding the nuances of the game, you're like, it's the ultimate team sport. Right, so for me, every moving part needs to work out in order to have success, and you can win in different facets, right? You can win on defense, you can win on offense, you can win on special teams. It's kind of why I like it.
Quickly before we move on, please give me a Jays rundown.
Oh, I'm
because this has
excited.
got to be killing you.
We were gonna get to, what's killing me even more is having to work during Game 6 and 7. Again, I'll be having my eyes glued to these TVs that we have here in studio. But I think we're all in the same boat here. The most of us in racing that are pretty big Blue Jays fans right now. If you told me we're up 3-2 going into Game 6 and 7 with a chance to win at home, Randy, especially given we finished dead last in the division last year, I think it's a pretty big accomplishment.
Toronto won't shut down for 48 hours if they win it?
Yeah, it'd be pretty significant.
Oh, it'll be crazy.
I wasn't even born yet when they won the first couple of World Series, so this would be my first taste or my first look at it. I know everybody's excited for it, and they've got plenty of reason to because if we take home the World Series, it'd be great. So it certainly keeps the lack of success in the Leafs.
Right.
Kind of everybody shy away. The tabloids will be focusing on the Leafs, who aren't off to a pretty good start. But, we're looking forward to tomorrow night and Saturday night, and hopefully we can bring home the World Series. We just had the Breeders' Crown, though, Randy. That just wrapped up. I know you and Chad had that recap show. I had a few days to kind of just settle in and just kind of really look back on all the action. But this was a big weekend, obviously, not only for racing standpoint, not only for potential divisional honors, but also it kind of shook up the Hambletonian Society poll, the top 10 poll, and we're going to get a chance to look at that poll right now. We've got a new number 1, Randy, and look who it is, Mr. Perfect, Bojangles. And I tell you what, usually horses who end up being number 1 on this Hambletonian Society Breeders' Crown poll, they end up winning Horse of the Year, which, there's a lot of debate about Bojangles and whether or not he does win Horse of the Year. Given this poll, it's kind of hard to argue that he won't be the U.S. Horse of the Year.
Yeah, I think the biggest criticism against him is that he's 2, and that fact that he never left Canada. But I don't think people should look at it that way. I think they should look at it as who dominated their division, and I don't think anybody dominated. I mean, even the great Luadipa got beat a couple of times, but this guy has been beat, and we gotta. Horse racing is all about winning. Mm-hmm. And when a horse goes out there and does what he did this year, I think that we got to all get together, celebrate it, and understand that we're not going to see this every year.
See, for me, I think that's such a flawed system, though, right? I mean, to people saying, oh, he never traveled. The 2 biggest 2-year-old races of the year just happen to be in our backyard, and we're gonna penalize Bojangles for that. It's it's not like our voting system's perfect either with the O'Briens, right? I mean, if you really look at the description, it's the impact on Canadian racing, right? The best horses don't always win, right? And we've also got a start limit here, right? You need to race 3 times here on Canadian soil to be eligible. Breeders' Crown races don't count as well. So we're flawed in our own voting system as well. But you hear a lot of U.S. voters talking about, well, he never traveled, but they came here, and they couldn't beat him, and they never came close to beating him. So for me, I mean, I don't really want to penalize a horse just because he did all his racing here when the two biggest races in his division just happened to be in his backyard. So I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, I think it's a cop-out when anybody's going to sit there and say that, he didn't travel, so they're not really sure whether or not he deserves it. They're not looking at the same horse as I am, and they're not really looking at the future of the sport, because if this guy comes back next year and, is able to, more or less put together what he put together this year, I mean, he could help our sport big time. So I just think that in this situation, this isn't one of those, well, he didn't do this and he didn't do that, and we should all get together and say, listen, he went 12 for 12, he won them all, he won all the big 2-year-old events. What more could he have done to deserve Horse of the Year? Yep. Simple as that.
Stakes record remained perfect.
Huge.
It's not like we're talking 4 starts. They're talking best 2-year-old of all time potentially, right? I mean,
and not winning the races by this.
No.
You know what I
mean?
mean?
He's faced a really good, Burke's crop that he's got, his rookie pacing crop, is really damn good. Mm-hmm. And he was beating them. I mean, any other year he'd have the top ones, and it just happens that Bojangles just happens to be in that same division. And, I mean, he's taking them down each and every start. So I think he'll be U.S. Horse of the Year. Obviously, Blueprint with the news, he's, dropped down to number 3. Unfortunate that he had a fractured rib. A couple of fractured ribs. He didn't look like himself, though, Randy.
No.
So you have to figure something was wrong, and something you pointed out in those in the elims as well as the finals.
Yeah, the big thing is just trying to compare him to what he looked like when he came up for the NA Cup. Mm-hmm. There's no comparison. When he came up for the NA Cup, I mean, it was like he was looking around when he was on camera and basically saying, okay, my name's Blueprint, and I'm here to win this race. Like, he was just so full of himself. Just his eyes were bright and the whole deal. And then when he come up for the Breeders' Crown, he just wasn't the same horse, And if that's what the injury was, then so be it. You know what I mean? He wasn't bringing the same kind of excitement that he was bringing when I seen him in the NA Cup. The NA Cup, when he stepped onto the track, John, in the elimination of the NA Cup and the final, we both knew that we were looking at the winner.
Yep.
We did not get that from him in the Breeders' Crown. At no point did he look like he was the sharpest track or sharpest horse on the track.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to, if we're going to see him compete once again in his career, but he's had an exceptional career. All the best to Blueprint, all the best to the connections. I'm sure that they're looking forward to
great horse,
a stallion career as well. And, he went through some adversity, right? He had some hiccups as well. He had that procedure done. Certainly didn't take anything away from him because he still kept putting forth a pretty good effort. So a homebred for Burke and company that they've got every reason to be excited about. He doesn't owe them anything, and hopefully he can have a career beyond racing. So we'll be monitoring that Horse of the Year and that Breeders' Crown Top 10 poll closer as the final weeks kind of take shape. And maybe Doc Moore's going to have to make a trip. He'll be in Florida anyways, but maybe to celebrate Horse of the Year honors for his rookie pacing colt. We're going to look at that Monday highlight board and kind of recap what took place on Monday night. Randy, I wasn't here. I didn't really get to catch much of the action, but let's look through this board. Willie's home runs, I see, got the job done. Surpassed $1 million in career earnings, so really nice to see her hit the $1 million plateau.
Yeah, it is, very, very nice, just been a real success story for everybody involved, and still looking good, still out there winning races, I mean, but I wonder how much further Willie's going to go. Will this be the end of it for Willie? Will she become a mama? Hard to say, but, it'd be nice to see her be able to pass on some of those traits.
Big time, and we see the post position success there from the stats, right? 5 and 6, 7 out of the 11 wins on Monday night. More or less what we've seen over the last year, right? I mean, those are the 2 best post positions to draw here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. My favorite numbers, the favorites went 3 for 11, 27%. Let's get that favorite number much, much lower because right now they win at a 46, 47% clip, at least going into Monday. That is way too high. That's one of the highest in harness racing. So it's become a bit of a favorites game, which is unfortunate. Hopefully we can see that number dip down, and I think we're going to see that if we see a little bit more action, personally, because when horses mix it up a little bit, especially as the cooler weather comes to town, I think we're going to see some that number drop a lot down. And early pick 5, it paid just shy of 32,000.
How many times did you have that one?
Fortunately, I did not have it. I believe
I thought that's where you were.
No. Fortunately, wasn't able
it's
to.
Quite a pick 5.
Get that 81-1 winner. That's the Barracuda. How many times have we gone to that guy or given him consideration? He pieced it all together. First time Lasix.
That's the whole.
And he worked
thing.
out a pretty good trip. The talent was always there, but he was able to piece it all together. Because of some of those prices that we had on Monday, we are going to have a pick six carryover, Randy, over $6,100 going into tonight. And then that jackpot high five carryover still climbing, $33,000. So it was a mandatory, on Saturday night. Still a pretty good pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to start anew on Monday. So, yeah, some good wagering opportunities on this Thursday night. And what I see being a pretty formful card. I didn't really see too many possibilities for an upset tonight.
No, I think if you do get an upset, you're looking at maybe 8-10 to 1.
Yep.
If you're gonna get one of those. I agree with you. I think it's going to be kind of formful, and then with the weather, sometimes that's what you end up with, these dirty, nasty nights too. Is a lot of form.
Yeah, and I should note though, we aren't going to see James McDonald on this program, and we won't be seeing him over the course of the next 2 weeks. He is making his way to New Zealand to participate in that World Driving Championship. He will be representing Canada. So best of luck to James. Hopefully the experience is a great one. And we'll be rooting you on from here. And we'll be trying to keep you guys up to date with all the action and kind of fill you in on where he sits on the standings as well. Let's dig into this Thursday night program as well. Randy, we're going to kick things off here with a maiden trot. It's a field of 10 here in this spot. Please note that we are going to have a driver change on the 10-horse Southwind Grenade. It's going to be Billy Davis Jr., in favor of Chris Christoforou here in the opener. The current favorite at 5-2 is going to be Trudy Bird, one that I loved going to that October 16th try, mostly because of that qualifying effort we saw on October 10th. She was going into that debut adding Lasix, but she scratched sick. You have to figure she did qualify on Lasix, Randy, on the 10th. She's back in to go here tonight, and for me, she's my all-in. I think that this is a really good spot for her to get career victory number 1. Now that I see that L right beside her name, I figure, okay, I can add another maybe excuse to some of those recent efforts where she fell short, and I think she could be really tough to beat here tonight.
She's going to be, she's pretty well tough to beat all the time, right? Just hasn't been able to
That's
get a
the
win
thing.
there
Yeah.
Underneath her belt, but she's getting closer and closer, and I agree with you. I think that, going to the Mighty L is only going to help her. She's always had the talent, just she hasn't really been able to finish off the mile the way that we kind of hope, and that's what I'm going to play against her for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't like the date,
Okay.
or the qualifier was October the 10th, so she's missed a little bit of time. And I like the qualifier. I think that she it was a nice effort that she put together there, but I just wish she would have showed me just a little bit more on the end of it. That's kind of the part where I was kind of hoping the Lasix would really kind of click in, because she didn't do much the first half of a mile. So I was kind of guessing that she should be able to come up with a big one. So I'm going to throw her in for third, comma. I'm going to use comma in for second here. I think this one's getting real close, a little bit better post to work with. But Little Arrow is the way that I'm going to go here, John. And this is, we're going to show you the replay. I thought both of Little Arrow's last 2 starts were very, very good. We're going to show you his very last one where he's more or less locked in here. But like I said, I think both of these last 2 starts are quite good. So you can see Trevor right now with this son of wheeling and dealing for Shane Barrington. 0 for 18, 0 for 7 last year, 0 for 11 so far this year as a 3-year-old. But look at the body language on Trevor here. At no point is he asking. He's just kind of like more or less moving along down on the inside. And this is exactly what happened the week before too. Just not a whole lot of racing room here. You can see Trevor makes a slide to the inside. But again, he's not exactly just like tossing the lines at him. I don't think he's the type of horse that you could just do that. Now is when he gives him a little bit of a nudge, a little bit of a tap, and he starts to move forward again. He's not going to get a hold of, he's not going to beat Ricky, but he moved forward. He didn't go backwards. That's 2 of these in a row. Trudy Bird's going to be taking a ton of support in this race, 2-1 right now. I'm going to take Little Arrow, hoping that he can stay close and use that last quarter speed to his advantage.
He's had a couple of starts now to get himself acclimated on the big track as well. Didn't really do a whole lot of work in those efforts, though. So you have to figure if he should be ready for a bigger effort here. But like my top selection, not really a whole body of work in terms of reliability, right? Like some of these horses are struggling to find the winner's circle, so hopefully they can get it done here for the first time. But you're going to go Little Arrow here. I'm going to go Trudy Bird, and Kevin Plaucha in agreement with you here. But maiden trot's just a really tough to kind of get a gauge for. I'm electing to just go all in on this Ken Susi trainee. Hopefully she can, score a maiden-breaking victory in the opener. But again, just tough to trust anybody, truthfully.
I think that you're the one that you're picking showing the most talent. It's just a matter of, with the bad date, and is the Lasix going to be enough?
All right, so we're going to move on here to race number 2. That's going to be the second part of that early double, and we've got a field of 6 here in the spot. Harvest Series action here tonight, Randy. And speaking of bad dates, the current morning line favorite at 6-5, Anibal Duara. This one had a pretty bad date going into last time out, and it's why me and you kind of dismissed him in that effort. He still got the job done in spite of it, and now back on a regular rotation. I just figure he's going to be awfully tough to beat now.
Yeah, I agree with you. Missed a month.
Yep.
And then comes back with a real nice effort. I use, did you go Sendica too?
I went for him underneath. We got everything. But the bridle change could
No,
help.
I meant last week.
Oh, last week I did, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of looked to me like Sendica was a winner last week. And then Annabelle Du Hurrah. So Sendica, I'm going to throw this one back in for second this week. He's going to get a bridle change open to Swedish blinds tonight for this Bergeron trainee. Dougie McNair driving. Wolverine Legend, Kristen isn't going to be here, so Trevor Henry picking this one up for Matt Bax. But let's take a look at the replay for Annabelle Du Hurrah. And remember, like John was just telling us, this one had missed a month before he went into the start. And if you want to roll it, the horse that I used is sitting right in the 2-hole. I couldn't have mapped a better trip for this guy. And, Dougie's going to move early. He's not going to wait right to the head of the lane. He's going to get him out on this turn. Oh, no, he did wait to the head of the lane. Right about here. Now he's out moving. And at this point, I figure that Sendica's gone. The other horse had missed a month. It looks like we got a little bit of a gap here. Dougie's just starting to come after Trevor, but then all of a sudden, look out. And look at this guy throw them down, them front legs down. He is absolutely romping here right now and really puts it on right on the end, right on the wire. How could he not be better tonight now that he's coming in here not missing a month? So got to go with him, John.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. But now we see the bridle change on Sendica. Given what we saw from that trip last time out, which was a picture-perfect trip, just didn't see that same urgency to get there first from this Ben Bergeron trainee. How big of an impact can that bridle change, have tonight?
Oh, well, he's going from open to Swedish, so obviously he had the open on the whole time last week there. So at some point, he's going to go from an open to a blind bridle in the middle of the race, or he's going to go from blind to open. My guess would be that Ben starts off as an open, and when they want to kick it in, they're probably going to close him up then. But definitely going to be an interesting bridle change.
And Wolverine Legend, you mentioned him. He was cutting the mile last time out. That was the first time we really saw an aggressive approach from him on the big track, right? I mean, he was racing from off the pace a lot. I thought he raced well, just was good enough to be third in that outing. I don't really love him as a win candidate here in that spot because at the same time, he still did get things his own way. But I think one that can definitely show some improvement here tonight.
Definitely got the talent, but I think if I was, whoever's driving him, I think I'd be staying away from the front end because that's twice we've seen him that he should have lasted on the front end, but he didn't. I just think he's a horse that's really good when he's got a target, maybe not so much when he's pulling the train.
All right, that's leg 2 of that Harvest Series division there for 2-year-old trotting colts. We're going to move on to race number 6. That's going to kick off that late pick 5. We've got a field of 7 here, and we've got another maiden trot here this evening, and we've got a couple of horses that are going to be heavily supported in terms of the morning line. The rail horse, Stormont Shanley Boy, as well as the 7-horse Mass Bar. And Mass Bar winless in 7 tries, but this daughter of bar hopping, I should say, she seems to be inching closer to a victory. Look, and the one who finished, who beat her last time out, he was one that was power dropping in Tavern on the Green. I thought this Greg McNair trainee raced super to be second, and I think if she replicates a similar effort, she's going to be tough to beat tonight.
Yeah, I think if you look at her last 5 starts, who's beat her, if you take any one of those horses that's beat her in her last 5 starts, put her in this class, I think that they're the favorite. Yep. And probably a logical winner in there. So I think she's in a spot now where she's finally going to get that job done. I mean, we've been kind of waiting for this. With her, a lot of seconds in her last 3, but I think she's in a spot where Dougie can take the bull and bull by the horns and drive this girl. So I'm going to go with Mass Bar up on top. Let's take a look at the replay in her last, and like I said, each week she gets a little closer. She shows second by a head, but she sat close in both of those efforts, and I thought this one, she kind of more or less showed a little bit of a different tactic. She came from way out of it in this one and still came up with a real nice effort. It's just that, like I said, Tavern on the Green in this start, I don't think she's a better horse than that. Baselitz has been racing very good. My Ghost, Night Stalker Games, they're all horses that have been racing extremely well. She's racing good against them. She just can't beat them, John.
No, but she was gaining, right? I mean, she gave Tavern on the Green a little bit of a scare there, but you could see the body language by Louis. He was on cruise control with this Luke Blais trainer who really took advantage of that class drop. Check out this filly do some trotting late in the mile, and I think she's raced really well when she's chased horses. She's raced well even when she's cut the mile, but she shows a little bit more on the end of it when she has a target to chase. So off that effort, I don't know if it's going to matter which way Doug does it tonight in this group, personally. Right? I think that she's showing that she's getting stronger and stronger. And look, somebody's going to get the job done in this group, and I think this daughter of bar hopping is trending the right way into getting her picture taken for the first time. Stormont Shanley Boy, another good second. I think that this son of Muscle Mass has been racing well. I thought the October 9th effort, he was second, but we did have a rival break where he inherited that second, right? Mm-hmm. For me, it was he picked up a position because of the break. He was passing some tiring horses. How much of a positive grade do you give that? I take the effort down maybe a little bit, given a couple of those factors. And you know what? He raced well in start number 2. I just, thought he would have a little bit more pop on the end of it. But I think one that can continue to take another step forward here. And Kevin Ben, check out the 2025 summary. He's had a great year.
Yeah, he has. No doubt about it. I'm going to use him in for second. I kind of agreement with you there. I thought that maybe there should have been a little bit more oomph on the end of it in a couple of those starts. And now he's got the rail to work with. Not really sure where he's going to get away. And what you were talking earlier, too, with Mass Bar. Sometimes on nights like this, best thing you can do as a driver and for the horse, just put him on the front and let him roll. You know what I mean? Let everybody else, have to worry about the elements and the spray and the mud coming back. This one, just put her on the front and let her roll.
She's not missing by much, right?
No.
Beaten a length last time up, but made up a ton of ground and then by a head in those 2 efforts prior. So Maspar seems to be trending the right way into getting her picture taken, and the way that Randy and I are going to go into race number 6. We're going to move on to race number 7. That's going to be the second leg of that late pick 5. We've got a field of 9 here, Randy. What do we do with Scorpion Sealster? That's the biggest question, because he looked like he was going to be awfully tough to beat, and how could we play against him after a 51-4 mile on October 11th? And then he shows up the week after and paces a mile in 52-4. Never looked like he was a winner, and it was lose game. He was a comfortable winner, so I just don't know what to make of him. I put him in for second here tonight, but just not sure which version we're going to get here.
Where did you go on top?
I went lose game.
Me too. Yeah, lose game to me. And we're going to show you the replay of that last race. I actually went Paul Salt in for second, Evans Legacy in for third, and then Scorpion Sealster outside post. I threw him in on the bottom. Maybe maybe I went a little bit too hard on him, but to tell you the truth, John, I just thought he should have raced better in this start. He does have a little bit of outside, action going on, but not enough that he should just be, ready to pound on these guys the way he looked the week before, where there was no end to him, But, there he is with Jody. He's up in the deuce now, but he doesn't look good right there. You know what I mean? He doesn't, it just looks to me like he's almost like he's a little bit uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I don't even know where I could pick at it there, but he just seems to me like he just doesn't have that quite, something, John, I'd almost swear to God we're looking at a bit of a bounce. Maybe he raced so good that week before after missing all that time. Maybe we looked at a little bit of a bounce. I'm not saying he looked bad. Just not saying that he had that pizzazz that he had the week before. Again, the week before when this horse won, when he stepped onto the track, you and I both know we were looking at the winner before the race even started.
And it was even more affirmed once he made that. Once Jody made that quarter pole move, right? It was lights out. That's it. As soon as he moved to the lead, it was lights out. But Jody was working him in that most recent effort, right? He was asking him. He was calling on him. He didn't need to call on him two back when he won under wraps in 51-4. We just figured, all right, free bingo square, we'll move on. And here comes the Scary Murno trainee, again, who was coming off a maiden-breaking score to, step up yet again and drop a couple of more seconds. And his barn is, pretty hot over the last few weeks. But this son of Dancing Lou, he's got some ability, and he seems to be piecing it together at the right time. You mentioned Evans Legacy, though. how good was his effort? And he likely needed that start last time out.
Yeah, that's what I think. He did need that start, and it was a really, really good effort. Go back to Lou's game there. Do you remember the mare that he's out of? Did you used to play her a bit?
No.
Remember she used to race on this circuit, this Fire Abbey or whatever it was, Fire Abbey, I think her name was. Yeah, she used to actually. I never noticed it before that she was actually the dam of Lou's game. But I think that we're looking at some really kind of sharpish kind of horses. But I don't think anybody is coming into this race showing any more sharpness than Lou's game.
Completely agree. And we haven't even mentioned Twinbee John B., who I thought raced well last time out. It's even Barracuda Hanover, who looked like a winner, right, in his most recent. Just didn't seem like he was getting around the turns all that well. But he looked like a winner last time out before getting picked off. It's going to be tough sledding from the second tier for this Jack Darling trainee, but one that I think has also been improving. So that's our thoughts in race number 7. We're going to move on to race number 9 here. That's going to be the first half of that late double. We've got a field of 7 in this spot, Randy. Morning line favorite, Wicked Express. Seems like when he's at this level, he's just automatic. But I tell you what, I thought the one starting next door to him, Smiles for Miles, was not expecting that 52-3 effort from him last time out. He certainly got bet pretty good at the windows as well, going off as the second choice at 8-5. So he's definitely one that can bounce back with a pretty good effort. But I'm all aboard this Kyle Fellows trainee because that victory on October 13th was just far too easy.
Yeah, let's take a look at that victory on October the 13th, the replay for Wicked Express. And I think another thing there shows too, John, with Wicked Express, he did win the grassroots consolation, in against some pretty nice. And if you look down the horses that he's been facing as opposed to who Smiles for Miles has been facing over at Grand River and Flamborough, apples and oranges here. The Wicked Express has been facing far deeper horses, so I like him best in here. Smiles for Miles is going to be tough. I agree with you. I got him in for second. He's got the better date of the two. Huge mile in his last, but he's going to have to come back, look for that same kind of a trip where Wicked Express, I just find that Dougie's able to do different things with him, and look at the way that he's beating up on these horses. It does miss a little, like 1 week's time, but comes in here and he's shut down at this point well before the wire. So definitely I got him wrote down as the best. And
so long as he can continue racing at this level, I think he's going to be tough to beat, but eventually he'll obviously kind of work his way out of this class. But for the time being, free bingo square for me, one that I'm going to single and look to move on. But I can't say there's anybody else that really gives me a scare beyond the Chantel Mitchell trainee, because I thought Smiles for Miles worked out a really nice trip. Put forth a pretty nice effort. That was a really, really good effort for him. But beyond that, Randy, I just don't see anybody that could even potentially play the role of upsetter. I'd be shocked if either of these two aren't the ones in the winner's circle.
Completely agree. We're looking at what, 2-3, 3-2 exactor?
Would have to say there. There's our thoughts in race number 9. That's the last leg of that pick 6. Again, we have a carryover of over $6,100 going into tonight. We're going to move on to race number 10. This is going to wrap up this Thursday night program. We've got a field of 10. I think this is a pretty competitive race, though, Randy. I think this would be a nice little race to have in that pick 6 sequence as well. I think that you can go several different ways here. Morning line favorite's going to be Well Said Celeb, starting from the outside, not the direction that I'm going to go to. I like the way some of the starters are racing from the middle of the gate. I think Arts Alive is coming into this race really sharp. I thought Back to the Future raced really well. This is one that I've kind of referenced a couple of times over his last couple of tries. One that I wouldn't be surprised if he put a pretty good effort. So curious to know where you went in this spot.
Back to the Future.
Okay.
Yeah. Where I liked him is 2 starts down. Look at that trip that he went that day. He was 3 wide all the way around the first turn, then parked to the half, and then 3 wide all the way around the last turn. Still paces a mile in 51-3. And now let's take a look at this, his last start, this replay, which, again, had the 8-hole, went way to the back, didn't really do anything, but shows big wheels on the end of it for J.R. Plant and Al Fair. And this is the way that I'm going to go. Overthinking. I threw him in for second. You know something, John? We've dealt with this overthinking horse last spring. It just seemed like he would never get the job done. Then all of a sudden he could get the job done. So I know there's a little bit of dangerousness in there, but This big wheels on the end of it here for Back to the Future and J.R. Plant. You can see J.R. starting to split horses right now. He's in between Louis and Jody. And watch what he does here. This guy, he is absolutely rolling on the end of it. A little bit better of a draw to work with in here tonight. J.R. sat behind him a couple of times. I'm just hoping tonight's the night that he gets him involved, and hopefully he doesn't have as much ground to make up.
We're going to need to see him get away a little bit better, be in a better spot turning for home, right? I mean, it's why I went to Arts Alive here in this spot. I think he's been sharp racing in Quebec. You can see a lot of ones on his page. He's coming into this race. He's returning back to Ontario in tip-top form, so one that I went. Maybe I might have done a typo, or maybe I followed suit on yours. I guess I got Back to the Future up on top, so I'm going to ride with you, Randy. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I swear I thought I put Arts Alive on top,
That's all right.
but I'm not complaining. I'm okay with either top selection, so how about that, you and I riding on board? Now I really do hope he works out a better trip here tonight. But Larceny, one that definitely merits a lot of respect here, though. Randy, we know when he's on his game, he's going to be tough to beat. I don't know which version we're going to get from him, because while he's taken on tougher, he's not finishing with the same level of pop we know he's capable of.
You know, something I find this guy here, the times that he impresses me the most is when they run him down through them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He actually acts to me a couple of times that if he gets through, he's going to beat good horses. But, you know, a lot of times he doesn't. Like, look at the second one down, John. You know, he sits way back. He's still 10th by 9.5 at the head of the lane, and then gets beat 1.5. Mm-hmm. Like, he can absolutely cook when he's down in amongst them. I just find when they move him to the outside or try to do too much with him during the mile, it just doesn't seem like he's got the same kind of an interest.
Agree, but I think in this level, because he's dropping down, and with a good draw to work with, I think he'll be involved from the word go. It's just a matter of what kind of trip can he work out, and if he's got enough left, because we know the class is certainly there to get the job done. There's our thoughts in race number 10. That's going to close out this Thursday night program. We're going to look at some pick 5 ticket ideas, Randy, and let's go. Let's start off with your early pick 5. You're going to kick things off with a pair of singles to kick the sequence off.
I'm going to single with Little Arrow. I'm going to try to get a separator going right there, and then my other single is going to be Annabelle Du Hurrah. I think it's fairly logical there, and then just kind of start to spread a little bit there. You know, 2 and 5 in race number 3, and then going 4 deep in race number 4. Using all my selections there. My top pick's going to be Always Be Sweetest. And then in race number 5, my top pick is going to be Head of the Class. But I really do think that the horse to beat is the 4-horse Donatover. But I got a feeling he's going to be, Chalk City.
I completely agree with you there. And I'm going to kind of take a similar approach with you, though, Randy. I'm going to kick things off with 3 consecutive singles. Hope to get them aboard. For me, Trudy Bird, leg number 1. Leg number 2, I'm going to go with Annabelle Du Hurrah. But for me, my separator is going to be Moving On Over. One that I think is in a pretty good spot. You're going to get Travis Cullen aboard. Murray Breather, trainer and co-owner, has been doing the driving duties. And now we're going to have Travis Cullen aboard. The last time we had a catch driver aboard, Randy, much tougher spot, right? Captain Hurley, Aquinas, Hanover, Charlie's Wish. Those are horses that are much tougher than the ones he's taking on here in this spot. So I'm going to hope that this son of Control the Moment can maybe work out a pretty good trip and get the job done here. And I agree with you. Race 4 and race 5 for me. Spread in race 4, and then race 5. I'm like you. It looks like 2 horses. Donatover and Head of the Class. I think they're in pretty good spots to get their picture taken.
The Moving On Over one's interesting there too, because he's had 2 trailers his last 2 starts at KD. So, interesting now that somebody's going to actually get to make up their mind what they want to do.
Big time, and you've got a good draw to work with. We know it's the most winningest post here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. I just love having your nose on the gate. I remember when we did that experiment here with the trailers, and I'm all for trying something new, but you're just up against it from the word go. I just never really liked the idea of starting behind other horses. But look, when you have an overflowed field, sometimes you kind of got to, what can you do? But if I had my choice, it wouldn't be the case.
Me too.
Without a doubt. So we're going to look at some plays boards here. Let's take a look at your plays board here first, Randy, and let's go through some of the horses that you like on this evening's program.
Okay, starting off in race number 1, it's going to be Little Arrow. It's going to be my beat the favorite in this one. Then I'm going to move on to race number 7. That's going to be my all-in, lose game. Race number 8, Worth a Look, and that's going to be pick a genre. Coming in here with a little bit of a stale date, but when this guy is on his game, he's gold. And my Waples Watch going to stick around till race number 10, and that's going to be Back to the Future.
And pick a genre. If he's on his game, he'll be the one to beat, and you'll probably get a pretty good price. It's just a matter of which version are we going to get,
Yeah,
right?
that's
I
the
mean, I
whole
think
thing.
that's the thing you can say about a few others.
If he was coming in on a 7-day rotation, I don't think I'd use him. But because he's missed that time, I think that there's been some work done to him.
Just
a
hasn't
little bit
looked
of time.
right.
He hasn't been as good as last couple.
All right, so let's take a look at my plays board here. All in Trudy Bird, my worth a look moving on over. Maiden Breaker, Mass Bar, my repeat, Blast of Sunshine, one that raced a few days ago at Flamborough. Added Lasix and put forth a dominant effort. I was curious to see how he was going to get around those turns there at Flamborough. He was A-OK, so one that I think is in a much better spot as well. He'll be a short price, but one that I think could potentially be tough to beat. We're going to hear from some other, or look at some other resident handicappers and their thoughts and selection. Kevin Plouch for DRF analyst. Donna Tover is going to be his spot play. Ghislaine Piquet repeat. Blast of Sunshine and Garnet Barnsdale his spot play. Arts Alive. Again, the common theme is some of these plays of the nights not really going to be big prices.
No.
And I think it's tough to find prices on a night like tonight, truthfully. And, you know, maybe they end up coming in, right? But for me, it's tough to find them. If they come in, they're going to beat me, that's for sure. Again, we mentioned that this is going to be the first of 5 consecutive race days. It's because we are going to be adding Sundays to the equation. So, you know, when you're bored of some football, come on over to the track and catch the Sunday night game as well as some racing action here on track. We're still going to have the $75,000 early guaranteed pick 5. And I think we've got a pretty good Sunday slate going into the first one. I really do think it's a pretty good card headlined by a preferred trot. But you know what? Over the course of the next 5 cards, Randy, you could argue that the Sunday card is probably the strongest out of the ones that we've got coming up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's the newest, obviously.
Yeah.
So you want to kind of try to put something out there with a bit of a splash, you know. So put some cards, some good races on Sunday, and see what happens, you know. And I mean, hey, listen, there's no better way than to watch a football game than to come to the track, play some horses, and watch football right here.
A couple of nice cold beers, but we can't do that because
we can't.
We can. Fortunately, we're on the clock, Randy.
That's right.
So we'll have to wait till after for the maybe the recap show or not. But there's a look at the Thursday night program. We'll be here all night long to take you through tonight's action. Again, the first of 5 consecutive race days before we shift back over to 4 days next week.